This is Autoline Daily, the show dedicated to enthusiasts of the global automotive industry. Sean's out for the next 3 days to cover the media launch for the new Ford F-150, so I'm filling in until he's back. Say, do you know what kind of households in the U.S. are buying the most cars? The latest report from Equifax shows that households with incomes of $100,000 to $250,000 have the highest number of outstanding car loans. There's about 9.3 million of them, and their average loan is for $30,500. Next comes households with incomes in the $50K to $100K range, and there's about 5.3 million of them. Their average loan is for $27,500. And then comes households with incomes under 50 grand. There's 1.6 million of them, and their average loan is for $25,800. Interestingly, people who make over $1 million a year have an average loan of $44,400, and there's only 71,000 of them who currently borrowed money to buy a new car. By the way, the total amount of automotive borrowing debt in the United States is $1.6 trillion, and that includes loans for new and used vehicles. We reported yesterday that the Biden administration would be putting a 100% import tariff on imported cars from China, and last night the administration made it official. Automakers in the U.S. will welcome that kind of protection right now. They're behind the Chinese and need time to catch up. But the danger with such a high tariff is that automakers could become comfortable and complacent with a protected market. They could lose their innovative and competitive edge. So maybe it'd be better to put a time limit on that 100% tariff, such as giving the American industry a decade to get more competitive and then slowly phase it out. There's a good argument to be made for putting those tariffs in place, but there's also a good argument about keeping the heat on for competition. Autonomous vehicles are still going through teething problems, and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration is getting stricter about monitoring them. It's opening up investigations into 2 AV startups. The first involves Amazon's robotaxi unit called Zoox. NHTSA says it has received 2 complaints of its vehicles braking suddenly that resulted in rear-end collisions. The other investigation involves Waymo. NHTSA says it's received 22 reports of its vehicles involved in crashes or violating traffic laws. Both investigations into Zoox and Waymo are in a preliminary evaluation where the safety agency requests info from the companies. After that evaluation, NHTSA can either close the investigation or start an engineering analysis, which could lead to a recall. Both companies say they're cooperating with the investigation, but Waymo pointed out it now delivers 50,000 autonomous rides a week and has racked up millions of miles of driving with a pretty good safety record. But in other robotaxi news, GM self-driving unit Cruise has resumed tests on public roads in Phoenix, but with a safety driver on board. And it says it's going to gradually expand those tests to the surrounding suburbs. This is the first time Cruise has operated its vehicles on public roads since it halted operations last October after an accident involving a pedestrian in California. Shortly after, the state suspended Cruise's permits to operate its vehicles, and that led the company founder and CEO, Kyle Vogt, to resign from the company. But now, just like Cruise, Vogt is back on his feet. He's co-founding a new robotics company called the Bot Co. with a former Cruise technical advisor and Tesla's ex-head of AI tech. They say they've raised $150 million so far, but instead of developing robotaxis, they're going to develop robots to help with household chores.
There's nothing wrong with heavy metal.
Hey, lighten up.
But with world-class composite material, Teijin Automotive Technologies makes vehicles lighter, safer, and more eco-friendly.
We've got a few more details about the U.S. version of the Volkswagen ID Buzz electric minivan before it goes on sale later this year. It'll be offered in 3 trims with a 91 kilowatt-hour battery and 282 horsepower for rear-drive models, and all-wheel drive models crank out 335 horses. A number of colors will be available, including two-tone options. Other features include a standard 12.9-inch infotainment screen, driver assistance technology, an available head-up display, panoramic glass roof, and captain's chairs. Those are some of the highlights. Volkswagen announced it will reveal the ID Buzz's range and pricing closer to when it goes on sale. Say, do you know who the biggest automakers in the world are? At least by sales? You could probably guess some of them, but guess what? The rankings keep changing. So here's the list of the top 10 car companies based on how many vehicles they sold last year. And Toyota tops the list with 10.3 million vehicles. The Volkswagen Group is in second place with 9.2 million. And the next one might surprise you, the Hyundai Group with 7.3 million. Followed by another surprise, Stellantis with 6.2 million. General Motors comes next with 6.1 million, but with an asterisk. That includes all those little Wulings that are sold in China, and GM is only a minority shareholder in Wuling. If you take them out, GM's total drops to 4.9 million, but it's still in fifth place. Ford is next at 4.4 million, followed by Honda at 4.1. Nissan comes in eighth place with 3.3 million vehicles. And then comes BYD with 3 million. The first time a Chinese car company has broken into the top 10 list of global automakers. And then BMW rounds out the top 10 with 2.5 million vehicles. Hydrogen and fuel cells generate a lot of debate over whether they're ever going to catch on. But some companies are working on making the technology to make them become an everyday reality. The latest is an effort between a company called First Element Fuel and with Bosch Rexroth. Together they developed what they call a cryopump. It can pump liquid hydrogen into the tanks of a Class 8 truck in only 10 minutes, which is about the same time it takes to fill up a tank with diesel fuel. A cryopump station costs half as much as a station that pumps hydrogen in gaseous form. It has a much smaller footprint and uses 1/5 the amount of electricity to power it. First Element Fuel says one cryopump could fill up 2 trucks simultaneously with 10-minute refills. No one in the battery electric world is talking about that kind of turnaround. But there's a problem. Hydrogen is still too expensive. But First Element says the cryopump effectively can cut that cost in half. And with that, we wrap up today's news report. Thank you for watching Autoline Daily.
Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, solutions for your journey. Intrepid Control Systems, over-the-air engineering boost your game. Teijin Automotive Technologies, the formula for better mobility. And by ZF.
Keeping your heart racing in and out of the gym. That's what really matters. Bridgestone Potenza Sport AS tires with a 50,000-mile limited warranty.
Intrepid's NeoVi Pi, allowing automotive engineers to interface, capture, and monitor vehicle data using Raspberry Pi. As a matter of fact, it's the automotive industry's first robust platform for Raspberry Pi, featuring Intrepid CAN-FD technology and Raspberry Pi Compute Module. The NeoVi Pi is designed for automotive environments, allowing use with relative power ranges and applications. In addition, the NeoVi Pi enables you to use the Raspberry Pi for compute while avoiding additional development to adapt to network environments. That makes the NeoVi Pi powerful enough to solve your vehicle network problems, yet small enough to fit in your backpack. One of many Intrepid tools used for developing zonal architecture and software-defined vehicles.